Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is David Palmer, Leo King, and we are here for Deep Astrology for the week of March 26th through April the 1st of 2019. This will be the last show I am ever doing of Deep Astrology. April Fools. I hope everybody's doing wonderful out there. If you never watched a show before, this is where I combine channeling the astrology of the week and then, of course, doing it with the charts and showing it to you here at the High Vibe TV studios. And of course, those charts are brought to you by Astro Gold, which you can get on iOS, Android, and on your MacBook, or if you're on PC, get Solar Fire. Thanks so much for always supporting those charts. Well, if you're all just new to astrology or you've been just an astrology fanatic for a long time, of course, you've heard about Mercury Retrograde, and this Mercury Retrograde has been one for the history books. Actually, literally for the history books. If you look at just even what's happened in the last 5 days around the world, or what is going to happen with Brexit. And this is definitely a time where there's a lot of, well, I guess you could say, trusting your instincts. Now, I'm sure that a lot of people were about to say, oh yeah, no, confusion. Sure, yeah, there's confusion, but really this Mercury Retrograde that we're in is the weirdest one I've seen in all that I've done astrology, or that I've been looking through it. That's because Mercury, as it's been retrograding, as it's been in Pisces, the sign where it's at its fall position, which means it is not happy there. It's like having your head underwater and looking up at a boat and thinking that pirates are coming, and then you wake up and you put your head above water, and it's a cruise ship with people on a boat with a bunch of Burning Man clothes on, having a party and listening to house music. Like, what the hell? I thought I was getting robbed. No, you know, you don't know. There's delusion. There's a lot of trying to trust your instincts instead of just what you think it will be. And that's because, you know, Mercury gets really lost in its mental aspects of this infinite universe that Pisces covers, this Neptunian multi-frequency, multi-dimensional universe we're in, and we're all tapped in highly right now, but we're tapped in a very weird way. It's almost like we're all behind the curtain of like the weird, like, I was going to say gears. I guess that kind of goes with all this Capricorn energy going on, but we're all tapped in behind the surface really intensely. And it's almost like we're kind of seeing like, wow, this is really weird. Because Neptune is exactly right where Mercury retrograde is stopped and what we call in astrology stationed. So when you have Mercury stopped, Mercury is happy because it knows that it will be moving forward on Thursday, but the unfortunate part is Mercury is drowning. It is drowning in Neptune's energy because Neptune and Mercury are definitely not, I guess you could say, the best of friends, you know, because Neptune doesn't really think logically. It goes off its emotions, its sensitivity, its intuition, and Mercury is on the calculator, you know, with like the little green hat on and the cigarette in the mouth, you know, it's like, I'm just doing what the numbers say, I don't really know. It's like, and we can get really caught up in Mercury's element of, you know, trying to figure everything out. But when it's on Neptune, it is totally, especially in Pisces, its home sign, totally like we have no idea mentally how anything's going to work out. You have to just go with where your gut's telling you to go. And it's like having just literally like driving a car with no instruments and a bunch of snow on the windshield and like kind of just feeling the road. Or it always kind of reminds me, I used to be a big Walking Dead fan, and you know how they like would drive, you know, and like all the zombies are around. It's like you just got to drive around and go around this car and go around this car, and oh, there's a zombie here, just hit it, you know, okay, just keep going. There's blood all over the windshield. Like, I don't know, I can't see, just as long as I'm not out there and I'm still moving forward. And it's kind of a weird time too, because this week there's this dragging energy that is frustrating. The reason why I'm saying it's frustrating is because the sun is exalted in Aries. This is where the sun likes to be. We just switched seasons. We just had a full moon last week, which was very big on the equinox. So the sun is just like, let's go. I want to make things happen. I want to move forward. And all the planets are direct except for Mercury. But on Thursday, all the planets will be direct again, which that is something I'm telling you. Go look in the history books of astrology. Go through an ephemeris and go tell me the last time that we have had the planets direct for months and only have one planet go retrograde, and then it come back direct while all the planets are still direct. You will not see that anywhere. So trust me, we all want to go. But with Mars in Taurus at its detriment, which means it's also not at its best sign because Mars wants to go and Taurus likes to be a cow and eat the grass and chill out and poop methane out. Or more importantly, if we use a more human element, Taurus is where we like to indulge in good food and good energy and sit and relax and look at the beach and have nice wine and chill out and sit in our brand new car and smell it as long as we can and do everything we can to make sure that that car will not lose its new car smell. So Mars, when it's there, it's like, I want to keep moving forward. It's like, wait, hold on a second. Let's stop. I want to appreciate this for a second. Well, we're in a moment of having to appreciate the frustration of a Mercury that's coming out of retrograde on top of Neptune drowning, the sun that's wanting to go, and all the planets are wanting to go, but Mars is like, and we got to look at Mars because the sun is in Aries. It's highlighting Martian energy, and Mars is in detriment in Taurus, and it's at this last part of Taurus this week before it moves into Gemini this weekend, which definitely gets much more mercurial and stimulated, but where's Mercury? Oh, it's on Neptune drowning. So it don't matter how you kind of look at this, like even with Mars shifting Gemini, that's going to amplify this Mercury stuff. This is the first time I will ever say this, and I mean, it's going to be my 7-year anniversary doing a horoscope every day on video on April 10th. So that's a lot of videos. In total, I've done 10,000 videos because I do weekly sun signs and all that stuff. But it's like, I don't think I've ever said in 7 years and 10,000 videos that just because Mercury's coming direct doesn't mean that it's going to feel like hurrah, okay? I'm just going to let you all know that one. And I'm just preparing people for that one. You all know you watch me because I'm real as fuck. I am just telling you that with this Mercury stopping, going direct on top of Neptune, usually when Mercury comes direct, Mercury, remember, is like the fastest little guy in the universe. Let's roll, let's go, let's go. And it's like, oh my God, I'm drowning. I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the end of Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio and don't ever let go, Jack. And like, what a... You know what? I can't believe she let him go. We all know that. He could have fit somewhere. And it's like, oh man, it's like, what do we have to let go of in our life? The clarity of that is what we are forced for weeks. Mercury's on Neptune for the next, this week and the next week. So weeks of looking only at what the universe wants us to let go of. And with the sun in Aries, it wants to move forward, but Venus has now entered into Pisces. Now this is good news because Venus is exalted here. This is where Venus is super happy because when it comes to Venus energy, you want to be easygoing, you want to be imaginative, you don't want to be critical, you want to just go with the flow. Now, I want to tell you this, Venus is making an awesome aspect to Uranus and Sextile, so it's definitely, I think, going to give us like something out of nowhere that's going to make us feel good through the chaos, okay, that we've been through and the confusion and the drowning. So out of nowhere, it's almost like Jack gets another piece of wood or something, or maybe even better than that with Venus Uranus. It's a little bit like there's an actual boat that shows up and nobody's on it. So they can go have a steamy encounter instead of just being drowned in the water in the cold like they did when they were on the boat in the, I think that was a Ford Model T that they were in. I don't remember, but that's kind of Venus sextile Uranus this week. So out of nowhere, in the middle of like drowning and all this stuff, there is a little bit of, positivity, especially as I'm doing this horoscope now on Tuesday into Wednesday. This is what Venus is doing. It's making a nice sextile over to Uranus. So, right before this point of Mercury direct and all that, we are getting some out of nowhere, especially with Uranus, energy to make us feel better and make us kind of realize like we can make things happen. And I think that's the most important part about this is to not be frustrated so much about how things are going or how confused you might be or where is this going and realize this is about, moving forward and going with the flow and understanding that there are things that we need to let go of and it's becoming very clear. Believe it or not, even though you might be confused, the clarity is very intense emotionally, spiritually, and psychically about what is no longer serving our higher soul and our higher vibration. Now add to this whole entire mix that we do have Venus here, so this is positive, and it's going to, allow us to, I think, release some more. Because Pisces is about releasing and letting loose. And I think that it's important with Venus here and its exaltation to just learn to like let loose a little bit about things and know that there is, positive energy that can come into all these situations. The universe is not just going to screw us over, okay? Like I think that this is the delusion. The delusion is that we're being screwed over, okay? In any part of our life. So it's like, you're not getting screwed over here, all right? Like the universe is coming through and everything's going to work out just fine. The sun's in its exaltation point. We have the courage to move through. Mars moving into this big, Gemini crazy, like let's start stimulating, let's start getting back out and changing our routines and our rhythm, because I think that we have all just felt really stuck. Mars in Taurus is at the end, you feeling like you're in the mud. And with the sun in Aries wanting to move forward, it's like I'm in the mud, but oh man, Mercury's on top of Neptune drowning. I am just like in between this energy that's just not going anywhere. What the heck? When things are going someplace, actually. Mars in Taurus is teaching us that, yeah, it might take a little bit of time, but it's all moving slowly and building the right steps properly. And when you got this Mercury, which is really weird because as Mercury comes direct, it's on top of Neptune, then Neptune goes to 17 degrees, and I'll show you all this in the chart, how funky this is. And then Mercury's got to get steam to get moving forward, and then conjunct Neptune again, and then pass Neptune and say, I'm getting the hell out of here, and then go through the last parts of Pisces. I mean, but this is going to take some weeks. Remember, almost over a month ago, I told people Mercury was going to be in Pisces for over 60 days. That is at its worst position. And then go back to the last retrograde, which was at the end of 2018, and Mercury went retrograde in the sign of its detriment. So Mercury has been through 6 months pretty much here. If I will show you, if I can go in the chart and show you. 6 months where it all doesn't make sense. And it is culminating this week. So just know that we are coming to this culmination point, or peak out point, or the orgasm, if we put a better, more positive term to it, of the confusion, okay? And all of it. This is the peak out point, okay? Now, some other weird aspects to talk about this week is the moon is going to be in some heavy aspects, okay? We're going to have this 3/4 square of the moon in Capricorn, squaring the sun in Aries. So this is us determined as ever, okay? Especially coming into this weekend, it's like everyone is determined. Once Mercury comes direct on Thursday and the moon is in Capricorn, the moon's going to also conjunct Saturn, Pluto, and the South Node. Now, the South Node is conjuncting Pluto by the end of this week for the first time since the 1500s, since 1516, 1517. The first time in 502 years. Think about that one. We also didn't know about Pluto back then. So Pluto is fear. Pluto is determination to change and to have and to integrate and infiltrate. Or it also is, in many ways, about penetration. Like, right? We want to penetrate where we want to go. And so this moon in Capricorn is like, especially Capricorn's about setting a goal and achieving it. The sun in Aries is exalted. We got Saturn in its home sign, and we got Pluto amplifying that in the South Node, which is this part of like learning to not get so stuck on the physical elements of this stuff, because we really see a more physical spot with, K2 or the South Node of loss, of also a delusion, as well of reality in many ways. But this weekend's a very determined, kind of energy of like, whatever you're going to do that you want, you will go and you will do it. So I think it's smart to start to use this energy, even though it's intense, to really do what you want to do, to get where you want to go. And I think that the whole world stage is about to go through some really funky stuff with alliances and all this weird stuff. And I think the Brexit thing is going to be kind of creepy in a weird way, just because Uranus in Taurus at 1 degree is semi-squaring Mercury retrograde turning direct on top of Neptune. So that's switching the whole understanding of the environment of the people and the world and the delusion or the fog, or even whether we call that kind of the weird uncovering of what actually has been going on behind the curtain. So there is some weird shifting going on here, and in your life, this means that as well, that a lot of this confusion is also about, who, what, when, and where are we going to think is the best in our life. Relationships get brought up big because, of course, this is a full moon that we just had in Libra, which is, we're in that whole waning period into the new moon, which will be in Aries, coming up here after this 3/4 moon that we have coming up here. But, it's interesting to think that the next full moon will be in Aries and Libra again. So, I'm telling you that relationships from last week, this is a big one. And this week is going to be really trying to get to the understanding of relationships in a very powerful way with Venus and its exaltation. Venus, of course, getting really into an interesting space with this sextile to Uranus. Venus is then coming into, even though it's over with the exact square point, when Mars comes into Gemini and Venus is in Pisces, there's still this Mars, Gemini, Venus, Pisces square that starts to form, immutable of change and starting to try and figure things out. And this is definitely a very weird space where when it comes to circles, when it comes to friendships, when it comes to groups, when it comes to partners, when it comes to all this stuff, we really are looking for the highest vibration, what really is aligned, but there's almost, like I said last week with the Price is Right wheel, like, and this thing is, it almost feels like it's starting to, it's almost like being in a washing machine and starting to see the wash, like the spin cycle slowing down. Because once Mercury comes direct and it starts to go forward, and we start to see it get closer to Neptune and then past Neptune, it's finally going to be like, oh, but that's, I'm going to show you in the charts. That's not this week. That's coming up next week. This week we got to go through a little bit of the chaos still. And that's why I'm telling everybody this is not just a typical normal, oh yeah, Mercury's direct, yay. No, that's not going to save the day. What's really going to save the day is that you have this extreme power in yourself right now, even with, not able to see straight mentally. You have this power in yourself to truly, especially with this end of Mars and Taurus, know what to build from what you want. Don't even screw around with stuff that you don't want right now. Because it's important when Mars comes into Gemini to go experience and to go have fun and to go communicate and, more importantly, understand and to really express and feel and go around and take what you have. And I think that it's very important for us right now, especially with this moon on top of the South Node with Pluto, and especially with Saturn there. This is going to be the first time we're really going to start to feel some really intense Saturn-Pluto vibrations of how the world's changing, how our lives are changing, that there is kind of no going back. And that's the whole purpose of this whole entire, I would say, deep astrology is there really is no going back. No matter how much we can try and create the delusion of exactly the same way things were. And that's because Mercury, as it's going backwards, it's looking in its fall sign in Pisces into the past. And it's like we all want to put on these virtual reality goggles and go into a world that we feel like we should be. Or we just are like, maybe the past is better and I'm just going to go back to the past. That's why this Mercury direct is going to be difficult, I feel, on top of Neptune, because it's going to reveal the subconscious and the unconscious stuff about you and how you've been looking backwards, and now you've got to look back forward again. And with all the planets forward, it's like, wait a second, I got delusioned or I was dosed up on freaking God's LSD for 3 weeks? What the heck was that? All this is going to change, and this moon covering this Saturn-Pluto with the South Node, and the South Node on Pluto is South Node Pluto energy, which is allowing, especially with the moon there, emotional, what we want to have, but isn't part of the systematic function of who we are now, has to go. And it's not going to work. And it's about moving forward into new energy. And this especially goes with people, partnerships, especially because of the Mercury, Neptune, semi-sextile Uranus. But even deeper than that, and I'm going to finish with this, is Chiron in Aries. Chiron in Aries is reminding us that, you know what, we are dealt with so many weird things in life that have happened to us, but we've got to move forward. If we accept what we are now, if we accept every piece of the puzzle that we are going through right now in ourself, and we have the courage to move into that, accept it, because with Chiron, without exception, without integration of what you are going through, and the humbling aspect of, yeah, this is really what it is. Let me just deal with that. Accept. You only heal through acceptance. Especially with Venus in exaltation. The reason why we have the exaltation, and if you don't know what that means, this is a very high point and very positive point for Venus. The reason why Venus is exalted in Pisces is through accepting of a universal truth. The accepting of the soul for what it is, whether it's freaking karmically fucked up or beautiful or whatever. Because why do you think Venus is in its fall position when it's in Virgo? Because there's no such thing as a perfect person. There's no such thing as a perfect, partnership. There is also no such thing as perfect art or perfect expression of the human soul. There's no perfect way to do shit this life, to be honest with you. That's why Venus is saying, the more perfect you try to make it, it ain't going to be that way. And I like to use car expressions because I used to sell cars, and I love cars. But even when you buy a brand new freaking car, you can't keep that thing perfect. It's like the day it leaves the lot, already a little scratch comes here, a nick comes there. You eat in it, and some French fries get on the floor, and forever there's a little fry stuck in between your seat. Somebody wears a glitter dress and sits in your car and puts glitter in it, and it doesn't come out for over a year. Yeah, that's actually happened to me and still is happening in my truck. So there's no such thing as perfect. And I think that the main thing about this is the more you accept whatever has happened to you in your life, wherever you're at right now, you cannot start getting, and this is where I think this Mercury direct on top of Neptune is going to be the hardest for people, is stop creating these negative downfall thoughts of guilt, or I made a wrong choice, or the past, I did this wrong or that, because you know what? Neptune is going to teach you to get through that by learning to surrender to, this is a divine, perfect moment in life. And I think Uranus is trying to teach that to Venus, although Venus is the one actually that's stronger here, because remember, Uranus in Taurus is at its fall position, which means Uranus really doesn't know how to put, everything together here because there's too many pieces. But at least Venus is trying to help Uranus and say, hey, let go a little bit and just go with what pieces work. What is the best pieces? Why don't you only pick the best ones and, the ones that are divinely in front of you? And it also is a test of our self-worth, our self-willpower with this Aries energy and the squares to this 3/4 square of the moon and this moon south node. And we'll just finish this, of course, with this south node Pluto. You will be terrified as fuck right now. That is normal. Accept the terrifying element. The other part of Pluto is deep jealousy, resentment, and anger. And especially with Mars coming into Gemini, it's almost like everybody's just been holding on to their resentment or their anger or even their jealousy stuff, because when Mars comes into Gemini, it's motherfucker, I'm gonna let you know, I need to make sure that you know, especially that it's going to amplify all this Mercury energy, right? Big time. Big time. So I just want to say, the positive of South Node Pluto is the more that we release resentment, the more that we release anger, the more that we release jealousy, the more that we release, we wanted it to have it this way. And the more we accept of the way that it is now and whatever is new in front of us moving forward, the much better life is going to go. And that is what is creating the new Chiron Aries identity. Is the more you accept what's happened, the more you accept the new system, the more you accept this new world and your new self, it won't be so hard. Life doesn't have to be so hard. And I think that we can enjoy life not through the escape of what we think could be, but actually experiencing life as which it is and making it beautiful and accepting it as beautiful now and seeing that beauty and appreciating that beauty for where you're at now through every day this week. Instead of, well, what it could be, what it should have been, how it should be. I'll only feel good if it's this way. Because then we have the moon coming into Aquarius. And, this moon in Aquarius definitely is going to say, like, let's chill out for a sec here. Like, we need to kind of, like, emotionally pump the brakes and kind of disconnect and go socialize and go have some fun and remember that we're all in this fucking shit together. And we're all independent trying to figure it out. We're all just trying to move forward. And we all are trying to disconnect from karma or, systems that we wanted that didn't go the way that we wanted to, whether it's in partnerships and career or any aspect. And to not let this South Node Pluto thing get the best of us feeling like we are just being utterly destroyed or utterly resentful or upset or just extremely greedy and I can only do it if I have it this way. This is what we have to learn to release in order to really step into the fresh spring that we're in, or the fall. I didn't forget you all, South. But I just want to say that we are about to step into, with all these planets direct here, which, by the way, by April 10th and 11th, Jupiter goes retrograde, and that's the end of the whole all planets direct all year. So just know, and I'll be honest with you, when Jupiter goes retrograde, out of all the planets, that's the one that goes, oh, we cannot expand anything anymore. So if you still need to push some things and get them going, I'm just telling you, with this Mercury direct, you're going to need to start to push it. I don't want to I don't want to get anybody to over push anything or anything, but if you don't choose to explore it or experience it or do it, we're going to be talking about that over these next, week and a half here because there's only about 12 days of all the planets direct left, and Mercury will be on top of Neptune. So I just want to say, when Jupiter retrogrades, especially in its home sign, that's kind of it. The universe is like, I'm full. I have enough. My belly, I cannot fit anymore. Santa Claus is like, I'm sorry, I've already left the whole entire North Pole. I have all the reindeer. I have all the bag. It's full. I have all the list of the children. You can't just keep adding more children. How many people? I gotta go. Sorry. So you better get on that list, and there is no naughty or nice list right now. If we all accept ourselves, and we all accept each other, and we all accept our true self and where we're at right now. But you got to get that stuff in there to make sure Santa Claus delivers it to open up those doors for you, because time is running out. We're going to check out the charts right now. Santa Claus, it is time. I wonder if Santa's hooked up with an iWatch or something, just checking out how things are going. Do you think Santa Claus has GPS? I don't think so, because I guess Santa Claus knows how to, go through everything. So Santa Claus, I bet you, has Mercury in Pisces, but, is he really a Sagittarius? I don't know. He kind of feels more Piscean to me. His energy, his look, he's magical. He's got kind of this bigger swag thing. Like Sages don't sit in one place for 11 months and how many ever days, and then only on one night go out. Pisces can sit somewhere for almost a year and just one day go out. So I feel that, you got to go and think of yourself as Santa Claus here. What is magical in your life? Where can you go? What is possible? Start focusing on these positive things and get out of this negative, rut here. So let's take a look at the chart for today as we are talking. I actually ran this chart at 6:05 p.m. I don't know what time we're at now, but it's 8:08. So I ran this a couple hours ago. But here's the sun. It's come off Chiron. So I think we have seen that we are in some weird situations in our life and which direction to really take forward. And then also you got to remember that Chiron is carrying a lot of kind of weight of things that just kind of are upsetting to us. But, I do think that it is a time to where we can really move forward and understand what is weird and accept it and move into this better place. The sun is an exaltation. It is in Aries. It's about moving forward. But here's this weirdness. Look at this, 1616 with Neptune here. Let me get rid of this here right here so you can see. So this is where Mercury is stationing right now, okay? So that means it is stopped, okay? It's not moving from our view from Earth. And with Neptune there, Neptune's about to come to 17 for the first time in our lives. Unless you were born in the 1850s, especially, you know, mid-1850s, like, I'm sorry to say, you've never experienced 17 degrees of Neptune. And remember that in the decans of this spot, this is very mercurial. So having Mercury stop on a mercurial decan is a very mind-bending, delusional kind of, but at the same time mentally kind of also insane vibe, you know, and I think that it's very important to remember that. As we're talking too, we just had Venus, which just came into its exaltation point, in Pisces. So this is positive. Venus likes to be here. This is where it can be more carefree and more easygoing and more imaginative, because what's better than having a relationship that we believe is going to go into the magic? What is better than having, you know, the imagination of that we are as skilled as we are? What is better than having the imagination that love is as beautiful as it is? And not looking at the full truth of reality and escaping reality. This is why Venus does so well. Why do you think people, Pisces, why do you think it rules alcohol and drugs? And Venus rules feeling good. Why do you think Pisces is the exaltation for Venus? People try to feel better that way, or maybe it's through breath work, or maybe it's through doing yoga, or maybe it's through going out on a bicycle, you know, and like hitting it hard on the streets. Like, there's a part of us that wants to kind of escape reality a little bit to feel good, and that's why Venus likes to escape reality to feel good. We don't like reality much in a weird way, but we also need reality checks too. But this Venus aspect we're going to show in the next chart what's going on. We also have this Jupiter Venus element going on, which this will be the last time that the moon meets up with Jupiter for about the next 4 months, because Jupiter goes retrograde on the 10th of April. So the next time the moon is in Sag, Jupiter will be retrograde. So that's why it's really, actually, this is one of the more secretive points in the astrology right now, is realizing that there's a lot to look at on your plate right now, and you got less than a month. You've got about, depending on which day you're at when you watch this, but just think that you got till about April 10th here to really kind of like go, this is where I'm going with my energy. This is where I'm pushing things. And even though it seems confusing, and when you're watching this, I don't know, you have so many options, you have so many doorways, and that's very important to note. We're going to end right here, and we're going to move on to the next chart for Wednesday. So Wednesday, March 27th. The last day of Mercury retrograde. Oh gosh. So just a reminder, this is where things get weird. Think about what you're doing very clearly, especially when Venus is sextiling over to Uranus, okay? So we almost are like a rebel about whatever to do to feel good. This brings up interesting relationships. It brings up a lot of things, but we need to watch how we speak about it, how we think about it. Maybe making major decisions today isn't the best. Understanding the whole dynamic of things is better, but like making like the biggest choice of your life, or signing a contract today or something like this, like you could push it one more freaking day, okay? And I also think that it's important because the moon is in Capricorn, which is making it trine to Uranus, and the moon is sextiling Venus. So yeah, there's this like feeling of like, yeah, we're good, we feel good, we can make things good, we can make things happen, and use that energy, make those understandings, but like the definite understanding or picture or decision, I think is going to be something that will come a little bit down the line. And I also think that it's important for people to remember that Mars is still in Taurus, and it is taking a little bit of time to kind of like get things really moving. So, if you're freaking out because things aren't moving, and you're just like going to use this really positive energy for like putting you in a deeper hole, Like, there's more options that Jupiter tried to show us on Tuesday. And if you didn't have that insight, and maybe because you didn't watch Deep Astrology live on Facebook on the Leo King, you know what I mean, live, YouTubers, it's kind of like there's great insight on Tuesday into how to get through a lot of this stuff. There's a lot of that there, if you're willing to look at it. But the main thing is Wednesday's a beautiful day. It's just there is a lot of panic that can happen with Mercury stopped on Neptune, like not moving at all. And with Neptune just sitting on top of it and drowning, and Mercury knows it's like holding your breath, like the last second. Do I have enough breath? A lot of people don't know I was a rescue swimmer in the Navy, and lots of our training in aircrew school was being in a helicopter and being dunked in a dunk tank full of water, fully strapped in full gear, full helmet, full aircrew gear, and disconnecting and holding your breath and searching for the rank of the general or the, admiral, and you had to know all the insignia for each service branch, but the main one is the President of the United States, the Vice President, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, especially if the Speaker of the House is in there, because that's third in line to the presidency. All those things we had to know, and those in order were who we rescued if we were underwater sinking. And I can tell you, holding my breath under there and unbuckling myself and then saving these dummies and then pulling them out and opening the hatch and letting them out is a panic moment. But what we learned through that school, and what I think all my friends, including Craig, who played water polo and we swam our whole lives, is when you're in water, you don't panic. Whenever you see somebody panic, that's when they drown, okay? Panic is what's going to cause drowning right now. So don't panic. In those moments, it was crazy. It was like a hydraulic machine, like, you know what I mean? Like, the water comes in and blah, 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 blah. You literally just go, unbuckle. Oh, that's the president. Let me get the president out. Let me get the vice president out. Oh, nobody else? Now I can swim up. And okay, I got the air. Yes, it feels like we are tight in our life on so many things that there's no way we're going to figure it out. We can. And that's what I think Venus sextile Uranus really is, right? That's what Venus sextile Uranus is. The understanding of a greater, better life by not panicking and by looking around at things, by seeing how we can make ourselves feel better, and by going with the flow and being easy about it. And the universe is going to come through with something. Something's going to come through from the universe. Whether it's a person, whether it's a development in a project, there's some sort of good thing that comes out of this. So remember that on Wednesday, not to trip out and not freak out and start panicking, because panicking is how you drown. I don't want nobody drowning out there, literally or spiritually. So we come to Thursday, the day that a lot of I'm just going to say it, really fluffy astrologers are going to put everything on, yay, Mercury's direct, and 5 million memes will come out about it. Nobody's going to talk about the hard aspects that it's making as it comes direct. Let's take a look at that. On Thursday at 6:59 a.m., so 7 a.m., 10 a.m. Eastern, we have Mercury out of retrograde. Okay, great. On top of Neptune, its biggest nemesis, because Neptune shuts out the mind. Mercury's in its fall position. Yes, all the planets are direct, so that's a positive. But let me show you that semi-square. Oh, do you see that right there? Oh, wait. That's called a semi-square. That's a 45-degree angle to Uranus. Okay, this is not fun, but it can be liberating because of the fact that in order for us to figure things out, we have to disconnect from things that we have held on to, that don't logically make sense, that are not part of the future anymore. That's the only way out of this hard Mercury retrograde stuff. And with Mercury direct now, it's about becoming clear, and you have to remember Uranus is in semi-square. So it's saying like, you gotta let that shit go. And it's like, no, I can't. Like, I find value in it, and I'm spiritually, emotionally sensitive to it. It's like, no, child, they're there. And I think that Venus is also kind of helping out behind Mercury, because you got to remember that Mercury is usually the one that's, why do you think Mercury rules back and forth? Like, why do you think Mercury is neutral? Because he goes, it's not even a he or she. Mercury is neutral because it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's literally what Mercury does. But, so he's, it's like the little dog. Oh my God, give me my food. But with Venus behind, and with the Sun and Mars and Uranus, okay, in front, Mercury now, as it's turning forward, is looking at more of these positive things. The Sun, Uranus, and Mars. And behind it, it has Venus. The problem is, as Mercury's been going backwards, it's been only looking at Venus, and then it knows behind Venus is Saturn and Pluto and the South Node and all that Capricorn, crazy, intense stuff. So it's kind of like, all I see is all this crazy crap. And even though it looks good on the surface, I know what's really behind that crap. Think about that logically in your life. As you're looking back into your past, it's glimmered with, yeah, it looks good. But you know what's behind that shit, which is dark, not working crap. Now that Mercury turns direct, it's got to be forced to look at these really positive, moving forward. The Sun, Uranus, and Mars, all three of those want to move forward, I'll be honest, all three of them have a little bit of ego in them. All three of them want to just go. They are not like chilled out energies. The Sun is about, let's light it up, let's move, let's express ourselves. Mars wants to go and express itself and show its glory and its greatness and how powerful it is. And Uranus wants to show how wise it is and how it understands the whole universe. I do care about the people, but I am also the wisest one around in a weird way. I'm a genius. Genius is ego. I don't know if you all know too. Like, I'm smarter than you, My mom paid $250K to get me into school. So, there's this shift with this Mercury direct going, you're looking a different direction now. But you got Neptune right on your freaking face. And Neptune is, a circus that looks really good, but really underneath is all your subconscious. Our subconscious, our brain, is literally a circus. There's some really good parts, like the petting zoo I remember when we were all out and we were doing this in high school, and we used to take the car out, we used to go behind that one thing, we used to go chill out there, and we used to go jump the car. I remember all, there's those cool parts. There's, of course, the crazy roller coasters that are fun. And then there's like the creepy, weird thing behind the circus with like, there's a little town behind there, and like there's some people like doing some weird things, and there's all these spilled cups and all these trash, and it's kind of like we're right in front of this like our own delusions too, and our own intuition, where it's like, you know what, man, it's like right on our face. So you need to realize that through the lens of this prism, because Neptune is like a prism. Like if you've ever seen like Pink Floyd, and you've seen like the prism and all the light coming through that, as you look through this prism, put it in the positive direction of, in the circus, to what you're looking forward to, what intuitively feels right, because with your blinders on, with all this right on top of you, I mean, literally Neptune is right on top of Mercury, like this. And you gotta remember, Neptune is a big planet. It's not like Neptune's like this small little thing. Like, Neptune is pretty freaking big, okay? You got Jupiter, the biggest planet. You got Saturn, the second biggest planet. And then you got this, like, Neptune. It's a big planet. It's not like it's small. And yet Mercury, which is the smallest little planet, it's teeny. It's like a little boy, just super teeny. And you gotta like see through this stuff. It's like a little baby. And it's got this huge fog on top of it. And this is where our minds create our childlike behavior. And Saturn, let's look at when this Mercury comes direct. The moon is going to be covering all this Capricorn energy. We cannot be little boys and little girls that are childish, and we need to grow up and we need to take authority over our lives. And even though it's going to be about finding greater comfort, especially with the North Node in Cancer, we have to remember that that comfort comes by us learning to step up and really understand that, we're in a place to where we have to grow up. We have to take a better understanding of how to make it through, because this is not fun. I'm just going to be very real. Even though, yes, Saturn is sextiling Mercury and Neptune, the moon and Saturn are not friends. And the moon is in detriment, okay? And so the moon is trying to just say, tough it up. Get through this. Don't be a little kid and see through the prism, and don't start creating crazy stories that are not reality-based. That's what this moon is trying to say, is ground and truly look at your long term here and look at reality. Right as Mercury comes direct, look at mother effing reality, kid. And I know that's a little harsh, but that's the positive element, is like, don't look back over here. You don't want to see what we're doing. That's like Saturn and Pluto, it's almost like those two thugs on the street corner that see the kid walk by and go, hey, beat it, kid. And the kid's all like, what are you guys doing? I'm curious. I don't understand. It's like, trust me, kid. You don't want to be over here. Believe it or not, there's thugs that are actually probably pretty cool on the street corners working for gangs that are probably doing that, like in the movies. I'm assuming this would be in this moment of a sextile to it. Like, okay, the kid's finally like, oh, I get it now, because the intuition feels these guys are not good. They're not doing the right thing. Maybe I should just peace out. And that's when it comes to your delusions of grandeur of, oh, I can make this old past situation that's complicated as hell work somehow. And the delusion that you really think that you can. Like, come on. Not going to work. So that's when Mercury comes direct. So if you think that Mercury direct is going to save the day in like this prosperous, exciting glimmer of unicorns pooping out rainbows, well, then you have bought into the Mercury conjunct Neptune direct aspect. This is Saturn sextiling it. This is the moon in Capricorn conjuncting. This is the South Node in Pluto about to happen, because if we look at the next day, Friday is gnarly, okay? So I'm putting the event for Friday because the moon is going to be 23 on the South Node. And look at Pluto, 2258. It's about to come to 23 at the end of a day away. And you're going to notice that this intensity here is extreme. That, of course, we want to have and to go forward with what we want in our lives and to have things go the way that we want to in our lives. But it's like, we've got to look at it from a reality base and of course be imaginative, but not delusional. And this moon, Pluto, South Node thing is going to bring up people's over crazy, intense, greedy appetites of like, oh, I can make anything happen. Like I can make anything happen, even if it's delusional. It's like, no. And the reason why I say that is Neptune comes to 17 degrees. So first time in our lives we've ever seen Neptune at 17. Remember that Neptune made it to 16 degrees last year, and this is actually interesting that Mercury is at that point of 16. It was like 1612 or something, and then Neptune retrograded. I'm crazy with numbers, but I think it was that, or 1621. It was one of those two. It's either reversed. Somebody could maybe in the chat help me out there. But Neptune 17, we've never seen this in our lives. And why is this important? Well, now look at, there is a degree separating Mercury and Neptune. So it's almost like what happens here is like, when you actually think about it, so Mercury comes direct with it on top, but then Neptune moves forward, and Mercury is stopped. So I'll kind of give you a better view. So like, it's kind of like, okay, Mercury actually moves forward. Neptune moves forward, not Mercury. Mercury's like still sitting there just like, I just turned around, and I'm trying to go, but I'm like, running but not going anywhere. And Neptune, one of the slowest planets in the whole zodiac, is going forward in front of Mercury. That does not happen in Mercury's life. Mercury is not used to watching the one or the fatter and slower planets move forward in front of it as it is direct and it just turned around. And it's like, what? Are you joking me? And this is where Mercury is now like starting to get out for a moment of the fog for a second, because there's a moment of space in between that shows the light of, wait a second here. With this moon, I emotionally feel like I need to make a change. I need to let go. I need to make change. And I need to see through this prism of delusion and see through this prism of what's possible and what makes sense and where the universe is going. Why am I holding on while Mercury is semi-sextile, or semi-squaring to Uranus still? Exact. Look at that. 109, 1608. That is 45 degrees exactly, okay? That is an exact semi-square to Uranus. Does not get much more exact than that. And Neptune is still doing that, but it's, of course, 44 degrees off, okay? But this is the thing is, this aspect does not go away. Mercury is faster than Neptune. We all know that. It's the fastest planet. So it's going to have to pass Neptune and still deal with this for a while. So don't start getting caught up, especially as this conjunction in Capricorn happens, to remind you of like, what's reality, kid? Because you will not be comfortable if you don't understand about an old reality to release. And Saturn is the lord of karma. This is about learning to release karmic shit. Neptune is like the new age form of karma. The spiritual karma that's outside of this reality, outside of even lives in this reality, all right? Like, this is where both the rulers of karma are aspecting Mercury coming direct. And this is where multi-dimensional realities of this reality and all the lives you've been through, and ones that you don't even know about unless you start doing some future life stuff, or you start experimenting with, doing past life regressions, which I've done a lot of, which has been crazy, to like go to dinosaur times, to out of this universe, to start playing with your dreams and start lucid dreaming and start playing around. Like, this is where really you could get a lot of insight right now. It's a great time if you want to go do like past life regressions or readings right now and get deep into past life stuff. And this is like karmic purge, major, because Mercury is the ruler of astrology. It also is the hermetic understanding of alchemy itself. And so with it in this position right now, which is very intense, it is having to understand, are we looking at what we want in our lives with this moon Pluto, moon south node Pluto? Are we obsessed with reality, or are we more obsessed in understanding alchemy and understanding the true source of divination and the way that the reality should be by a higher divine understanding? And are we going to follow that higher divine understanding? Or are we going to let our own desires, our primal desires, our greed, our over-obsessing over things from the past that don't make sense, over karmic stories that we want to just keep replaying? Like, are you just going to keep replaying that fucking karmic story? No. I would hope not. That's what this Mercury direct is about. And that's why Friday is gnarly. Because even though Mercury's direct, and it's been a day direct, Neptune moves forward in front of it onto another degree and clicks. And Mercury's like, what the heck? I never seen anything happen like this. And it makes Mercury want to run faster. But at the same time, Mercury's like, oh, wait, I got to go deal with that huge storm. What does Neptune rule? It rules storms. So does Uranus. But Neptune rules more of like the storm of chaos of, you know, your own subconscious storms, your own karmic storms. Sea storms, like tidal waves, and being hit by waves. I don't know how many of y'all go to the beach, but it gets tiring when a big set comes in. Because when it's big out there, you gotta be prepared. It might be fun for the first 5 minutes, but 10 minutes in, 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in, man, when you see like a row of like 8 waves coming in and they're big, and then right when you think that one was big, it gets bigger, and it means that you have to swim out. Because if you try to stay in the same place, guess what happens? You're gonna get hammered. Or if you try to swim back in, the current is the riptide is so strong pulling in that big wave that, you know what? The only thing that you could do is go into the wave. Like swim out to the wave and go underneath it or ride it back in. And that's what this is. Are you going to, you know, go with the flow of where the universe is going, even though it's scary? Because it's scary to go into the big wave of the new future of where the universe wants? Or are you going to just say, no, I'm okay, I can do whatever I want. The moon's on South Node and Pluto. I want it to be this way. I don't want to have to move. I want the lifeguard to save me. And I want to replay my karmic story of where just the universe is going to come through and just like, just have me hit all this old karma that I'm not ready to release yet. No, you don't want that to go down in your life. And that's why I'm putting out the warnings for Thursday and Friday. But at the same time, because we got to think of Capricorn and governments and all this kind of stuff, irony is Brexit is on that Friday. We're going to see what happens there. Whether that's change of power in the parliament, whether that's a delay, whether it's a hard Brexit with no deal, it's going to be really interesting, especially since, you know, these are very intense aspects to that Uranus aspect at 1 degree. Remember that the Queen of England is right there. She's born at 0 to 1 degree of Taurus, and that Mercury Neptune has been smacked hitting her, and Uranus has been smacked hitting her, and the Sun is coming to conjunct for the first time in Taurus since she was a little girl. Or actually, not a little girl, she was like 20. So she was already queen. So it's almost like re-bringing up kind of her old beginning of her set as queen and kind of that cycle coming to a close. So I think that the whole Brexit thing, and I think that everything that's going on with the chaotic element, and then in our own government, if you're in America, or if you're in the EU, there's a lot of weird behind-the-scenes stuff. They're presenting everything one way. Okay, they're presenting right now with Brexit, looks like, okay, this, or we've got an extension, or blah, blah, blah. The EU is being like, we're fine, don't worry, you're going to be fine even if they leave, even though they're tripping their heads off, trying to play hardball, and give them an extension to hopefully try and backdoor other people to try and save the whole thing. We have this really weird thing with the Mueller report that came out, and people don't trust it. This is all very South Node Pluto stuff in Capricorn of all this weird stuff behind the doors, which nobody can understand with Mercury on Neptune. The whole Jesse Smutton thing, his case just got dismissed. It's like, wait, what? Like everybody's kind of in a what's the heck is going on? And I think that you're going to realize that the whole world from Thursday on in this last 12 days of direct is going to take way crazy turns that you are not predicting, okay? And I'm just trying to show you that I think that Brexit is about the monarchy. It is not about the people. It is not about it at all. They are secretly, and they are up there behind there, ready to switch regime changes, okay? Debacling over who it should be. Should it be Charles? Should it be one of the boys? Like, of course, William, right? Like, what is it? And then you've got the EU and the economies are all weird. And then you've got in America, you got both sides of the aisle which don't trust each other. You got the Republicans that don't trust the Democrats because of the FISA warrant. You got the Democrats that don't trust the Republicans because who's the Attorney General. And you've got all this all over the world right now. Think about in your own life how you are going through the same shit. Not might be about some government shit, but it's about how you are going to operate and what system and who can you trust, who is the right people, who is in yourself, what are you going to do, how are you going to financially survive, how are you going to push through all this? Is this what you really want in your life? Is this really what you want? Is this the direction you want it to go? These are the main questions. The reason why I've spent so much time on Thursday and Friday on these charts is because this shit is freaking major. This is not little league baseball. This is Major League Baseball shit right here. No irony that Major League Baseball is starting on Thursday. This is major league spiritually. And where you have to start to see and use, whether it's astrology or the understanding of a galactic consciousness and all the layers of the higher chakras. This is not about the human chakras anymore. This is about that you should naturally align that crap. And you need to start to understand the 5 other chakras above. Because if you're not tapped into all those 5 chakras that go out to the multiverse and beyond the multiverse, to the source unit, all the way down to the galactic, to the planetary, and to the earth consciousness, and then into you, this is going to be an insane time, because if you're only trapped in your body and you're only looking at the reality and you're not only looking at it as you, the viewer of this weird projectional show that has been preset with Saturn in its home sign, sextiling Neptune, with the moon covering it, with South Node Pluto, deception is at its highest fucking orders in this next couple days. The deception in yourself about what you believe that you can go back to or have, and more importantly, the deception of yourself, whether you're not awake and paying attention to what's really going on and seeing all the dots and how they connect, or if you just don't care and no, I don't watch the news, or I don't watch this because I'm not associated with that. I am on my own island. I'm not here to pay attention to the show of life, when really this is where all the secrets are to understand yourself, to mirror reflect yourself, to look above, to understand what's happening above. This shit's important. We'll just finish real quick here with just the weekend, because really that's the big stuff. The weekend definitely, I think, is going to be more positive just for the fact that we have Mars changing signs. Okay, so Mars is going to leave Taurus finally. And think about that too, just about with everything going on. Mars at the last degree of the zodiac of Taurus, like the last degree, Mars is always edgy. So if you don't think that Thursday and Friday with Mercury direct is going to be this hoorah thing of like, yay, edgy as fuck. So Mars is going to be edgy, leaving Taurus, and finally coming into Gemini, where it gets some, Mars and Mercury can be friends. You got to remember that Mercury can switch teams. Mercury can always go to be a benefic, or it can be a malefic. So Mercury picks any side that it's going to be on. So Mars in Gemini, mercurial energy is like, okay, what do you want me to deliver? Okay, you want me to deliver this? You want me to figure this out for you? What do you need? I'll figure it out. And so Mars in Gemini is about us starting to kind of confront new environments, a new understanding of the world, especially with its semi-sextile to Uranus that's beginning. But we do have the moon in Aquarius on Saturday, making a sextile to the sun in Aries. This is always a positive aspect in astrology, especially because it will allow us to, I think, emotionally free ourselves and kind of get back centered and try and understand a lot of the crazy stuff that's going on. We got Mercury, which is direct, but look at it, only went 10 minutes in a day, which is nothing. And here's So it's still got a whole degree. This is how long Mercury's on Neptune all week. I mean, it's not going to stop. We got Venus here at 4 degrees. It's not really, making really anything too intense. So it really is kind of a time for us to kind of like corral in and just feel good and be positive about things. When we move into Sunday, yeah, there's that Mars in Gemini, and that means it's going to amplify, because Mars is an amplifier in a very extreme zone. And what is it doing? It's amplifying this whole entire Mercury thing with Neptune. Here it is. Now Mercury is half a degree away. See, now it just moved double the speed. It doubles and doubles, okay, even in minutes. So it's doubling itself. It's getting up fast. Neptune's not really going that fast. So, but it's still there, not to get caught up in the delusions of grandeur, okay? And this is the first time we're going to see this weekend the Pluto South Node element exactly at 23, okay? And this is where change has to happen and new environments. So the energy from Thursday, Friday coming into this weekend is all going to play itself out, but it's about learning to emotionally kind of go with it and like try and understand all the pieces before freaking out. Emotionally not freaking out, staying cool, calm, and collected. And with the Sun in Aries, now at the second decan, moving forward and understanding to move forward and to keep going, that we're fine, let's go, let's understand this, because we can get into fear and panic very intensely. Instead, we need to be cool, collected, because the world, our own environments, and a lot of things are changing very fast on the last day of the fucking month. Literally, okay, the last day. We start April Fool's Day, and I ain't fooling here, with the moon in Pisces. Ultra sensitive, and we are also entering into a balsamic phase of the moon by that night. And that's going to be a balsamic, dark moon on top of Mercury Neptune on April Fools. Talk about the ultimate Decepticon going on in the world and messing with people's emotions and making aspects. It is going to be happening Monday night into Tuesday. And there's always the buildup in astrology, even though the moon and Venus are together, which I think is positive, don't get me wrong. And we've got, that's a feel-good, energy, okay? And wanting to just release, but it also is being numb. Are you numb to what's going on? Do you not want to deal with the truth? Do you not want to really look at things deeper? Do you, it's like we cannot go numb. We have to, it's going to be sensitive. It's going to be an adjustment period because Mars is going to be squared the moon. And so the moon's going to square Mars and go, you know what? I don't want to be numb. I want to figure things out. I know it's hard, but, it's important for us because Uranus needs some information to figure out what the hell are we doing with this reality. Uranus honestly is kind of pissed off because Uranus is like, I'm in Taurus. I just had Mars here. We came to the field. We want to make this happen, but fucking everybody's confused. What the heck? And there's people deceiving people and all this crazy stuff, and the whole world's just in a tizzy. And with the South Node Pluto thing, gosh, are people going to finally release the systems and the old karma and the places that they want to go? And look at Saturn, 1952. We start April Fools and we start April with Saturn literally 1 degree away from going into its stationary position where it will go retrograde. And we got the South Node now really close to Saturn, and we are feeling the intensity of work and changes in what we have to do, tough choices. It is not easy, and you've got Jupiter, of course, which is quincunxing still this North Node. Man, we've got to realize that there's a bigger future out there, people, and we need to be a wise one and see all of how all the pieces are coming together. And the other interesting aspect is Mars. As it squares all this, energy, Mars is starting to sextile Chiron. And this is what's interesting is Chiron is in Aries. So there's this, our heads wrapping around the new way the world looks in our own lives and in the world and in the governments and everything that we are not understanding of. It doesn't look like the way that we think it ever should. We've never seen it look this way before. And this is where the buildup is going to get intense. Because and I'm just going to give you a little preview in the next week, because we're building up for a new moon, and that new moon is going to be within the cycle of, coming up towards after the full moon to before the next new moon that will be in Taurus, where the sun will conjunct Uranus in literally, 2.5 weeks' time. And that's a big deal because, it'll actually be 3 weeks, because we've never seen the sun and Uranus conjunct since the 30s in Taurus. That's going to be the buildup to all this. You've only got 10 days till Jupiter retrogrades in Sagittarius. This is where you have to in your life have the grit and determination of new and accepting what is weird and different and not normal to your feelings, and not get clouded in some old past karma and replay some story. This is a move by the dark to trap people. This is also the information that is coming into us from the world, from the medias, and all this kind of stuff, okay? With this Neptune Mercury, you've got to be, this is ultimate Decepticon. We have never in our lives, and actually, believe it or not, the last time we saw anything even very deceptive really was the build-up to the election of 2016. That was South Node Neptune in Pisces. And that really made us feel very confused. And then 1 minute it's Hillary, gonna get, or it's Trump with a video of him, with the crotch thing. And then it's her, she's gonna get, is she getting indicted? Is Comey coming out or whatever? We all are confused. We don't know which direction is what. This is it times 10 coming on April Fools. Literally, people, I think, will think that the world is actually fooling people on April Fools. And it's not a joke. And the people might laugh at it like a joke. But it's not going to be a joke. It's going to be real, especially with South Node Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn. So that's what I pretty much have to say about this week on Deep Astrology. I guess the last things I want to say is Maldives is going down. I think it's like, I only have, I think, a couple, I don't know how much longer I have to sell tickets. Some people think I'm throwing this retreat. I'm not. I am very blessed to be part of this retreat with a ton of other people, with a bunch of other astrologers, with a bunch of other yoga people. I just got word that I'm going to be DJing out there. But the tickets are super cheap. If you've ever looked up to do the Maldives, it is like super cheap to go on this trip. So usually an average Maldives trip is like 10 grand. I think the tickets are like 2,300, and then you pay for your own flight, but that's like everything included and rooms and everything. And I'm going to be teaching for how many days am I teaching? I think I'm doing 5 lectures out there. So 5 days of lecturing and workshops and stuff on evolutionary astrology. And then, of course, go to highvibetvschool.com because the Lightworker School is out. It's awesome. And I've been putting out new content and dripping out content every day and every week. And we've got other awesome people on there with tarot, with shadow work. And then, of course, my whole entire astrology school is on there with all my videos from Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 of all how to learn to do astrology. From the basic all the way to the advanced, and how to be a reader, how to build your own spiritual business. I'm doing a whole thing on that. There's so much on there, and that is a deal in a century because for the all-in-one, you get all the schools, and you get my whole entire Leo King Elite, which I sold for $1,500. You get that for free, and it's all those 45 videos. Plus, you get all the other courses. So, some people on YouTube, there's some guy yesterday on my thing saying like, oh God, you're selling somebody talking about crystals for $400. I'm like, no, dude, like that's like one course out of like literally almost 100 videos. So like, I just want to let people know, like, and this is like learn at your own pace. Like you can just log on your phone and watch the videos. This is not just some live school or just some webcam school. We do it all in the studios. It has been a big production. We are really at High Vibe TV, really trying to set the new bar of true high vibes and teaching people and coming from the true space. And we don't want to be the place that's all fluff. We want to be the place that is bringing a high vibe, but bringing the deep stuff and bringing the truth and bringing it to you in a way. Even this show, please show me an astrology show done like this. Please, please, please. And I do this one for free. For free. So, because I love you all. And I really want to help. And I give away all my information. So, and I appreciate you all for supporting me. But we all gotta be very aware right now. We gotta be very careful of the moves we make. This is where people can drown spiritually. This is where people can go insane. This is where people can make very dumb choices. And you really do not want to step into this in a negative place. You have the power to get through this through awareness and seeing through the deception and seeing through your own karmic subconscious patterns that you are almost addicted to replay. Thanks so much for all your support. Truly appreciate it. Hope to see you in the Maldives. Hope to see you in the school. And I will see you all later. And thanks for sharing this too.